Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Retro Select, a series of quick looks at retro games that feel like playing. I say games, today is a bit more of a piece of software than a game. Today we're taking a look at eJay Clubworld for the PlayStation 2. This was a PlayStation 2 entry in Empire Interactive series of music making software that was known as eJay. eJay originated in the late 90s and Clubworld showed up in about 2003. And the series was designed to provide an accessible way into electronic music making through arranging samples for the most part. There was also various pieces of software that would allow you to make your own drum patterns and synthesizer patterns and so on as well. The earliest releases of eJay on PC focused specifically on a single style of music. So you had dance eJay, techno eJay and hip hop eJay. But Clubworld provided several different musical styles that you could use all within the one package. It was pretty well received at the time of its original release, praised for its accessibility and flexibility, but I was curious, is it still worth exploring today given the number of low-cost, easy-to-use music creation packages that are available nowadays, or is it just a relic of a lost time? Let's go play with eJay Clubworld. Okay, here we are with eJay Clubworld for PlayStation 2. I've never tried this before and I never had it back in the day, but I was a big fan of the eJay software on PC. So I've always been intrigued to give this a go, but for one reason or another, I've never actually tried it. I've actually had this on my shelf for a little while, but never got around to giving it a go. It's Carl Cox.
It's never been this easy to mix and make your own music. Take it from me, I've travelled the world and seen all the clubs. To get there, believe me, was always a real challenge. Now with eJay Clubworld, I can check out all the clubs and all the mixes without even leaving my sofa. Acid and electro in Singapore. House in Paris. Drum and bass in London. Reggae on the Virgin Islands. Techno in Frankfurt. Ambient in Bombay. Trance in the White Island of Ibiza. You can just go there and be creative. With more than 10,000 samples to choose from, you can arrange them on tracks, mix them up, and also put some very good effects on it. You can create sequences in the hyper generator. You let the beats roll in the grooves generator. You can jam around live with your friends. And then you can save all your tracks into the jukebox.
Cool. So there you go. So obviously this isn't a game as such, but it's had sort of certain consolised elements added to it, I guess. The way that it's sort of themed around these different clubs and you sort of go different places to do different things. And it's obviously designed to be used with the joypad and so on. Do we have to do the tutorial first? No, we don't, but I think it probably makes sense to go through that first, just to sort of get an overview of what's going on. So let's see what it has to show us. So I was interested to cover this because obviously there's plenty of sort of coverage of PlayStation 2 stuff online, but stuff like this doesn't tend to get a lot of attention because it's not a game and because there's better ways of doing what this does now. So sort of music creation programs are very affordable for home computers now, so I guess the question is sort of why would you bother using something like this other than as a novelty? I don't know if we'll answer that today, but hopefully we should have a bit of fun in the process. So let's have a look. The main controls. If this is too long-winded, we'll just jump in and experiment a bit for ourselves.
It's really easy to find your way around eJay Clubworld. The most important controls like play and stop work in the same way whichever eJay Clubworld mode you're in. With the directional buttons you can move the cursor around the active area. Pressing the R1 button and the directional buttons changes the active area. The execution button X confirms an entry or selection. The circle button deletes samples from the mix and cancels settings. The triangle button stops and starts your song whenever you want. Pressing the R2 button will take you to the quick access menu. From here you can quickly get to the other functions like the groove generator or the hyper generator. You can find out more about the controls in the manual.
Okay, seems simple enough. I don't think we really need to go through all that. Let's just have a fiddle around and see what we can find out ourselves. I've actually got the manual here as well, so that should hopefully tell us a few things if we find ourselves needing to find out stuff. But one of the sort of core design principles of the eJay software in general was always to be as intuitive and easy to use as possible. So hopefully we should be able to pick things up. Alright, let's do some... What should we do? Let's do a bit of house. A bit of house in Paris. So here we are in Queen Club, Paris. Alright, so it looks like it's loaded something in there for us. So let's just play what it's already got.
This is your operator. Please hold.
I like the way the waveforms are actually playing on the oscilloscopes on the samples as they play back. That's really neat. Okay, so I mean that's a basic example of what's in there. So how can we clear this? L2 home. Does that just take us? That just takes us back to the start of the page. Okay, so this is that quick menu they were talking about. How do we clear what we've got completely? Should have probably looked up in the tutorial, shouldn't I? Let's have a look in the manual, see what it says. It's a pretty comprehensive manual on this, actually, so it's worth having a read. And I should have probably done that before we started here, but anyway. So a bunch of information about the clubs. Not sure if they are like real clubs. Sound samples. And to arrange things. How do we clear the whole thing? You'd think this would be a fairly fundamental thing to to have easily accessible, but apparently not. So surely it's in the arrange section. So the arranger is there to make complete songs out of individual samples. You can access all sounds and all of the 20 stereo tracks. So you've got 20 tracks to play with. In addition, you can vary the master volume and the playback speed of the song. Oh, if you press the triangle button, you can hear the resident mix. This is a ready-made mix that will show you a little bit of what can be done in eJay Clubworld. To clear the resident mix, select Clear Mix from the pause menu. So I guess that's start. Ah, there we go. All right, Clear Mix. Are you sure? Yes. Right. Let's begin. So how do we switch between the different areas on the screen is the next question. As in, how do we pick something? R2 button access the tool selector. X button selects samples or menu items. Nope. Use the directional buttons to move between operation fields. Ah, okay. Alright, so you switch between the active areas of the screen by holding down R1 and picking something. Alright, so let's start with some drums. So over here we should have some drum samples, so we can... Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Get rid of that. I should have looked at the on-screen keyboard help, shouldn't I? Square to preview. Okay, it's a nice simple beat to start with, so let's pop that in there. Place. Okay, so you can place by batch, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's place a bunch of them. Let's do 16 bars worth. Because that's a nice sort of set of 4, if you like. Get rid of that. And let's add some bass next. Let's pick something from further down the list. Oh, I like that one. Alright, let's have that one. And that can go... We can bring that in from here. And gradually build up a mix a bit at a time. It's been a long time since I composed electronic music, so I tend to start very simple like this, and then I sort of chop bits out afterwards to sort of get things sounding a bit more interesting and less predictable. So let's get some keys in there. A nice long keyboard sample there. You've got a lot of different samples to choose from, that's good. Alright, bit of organ. Oh, that's a bit longer than... That's 3 bars long. That's slightly awkward. Alright, so let's alternate that with... Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So alternate that with another sample from the same set. That should give us a nice sort of offbeat effect. And then maybe a 2-bar one to finish off with. Alright, pop that in there. Alright, let's hear what we've got so far. So 4 bars of slightly wonky cymbals to begin with. Okay, not bad. Not sure I love those keys, so let's get rid of that. Let's pick that up, move that back there a little bit. So it chops off the beginning of that, chops off the end of that first sample. Let's also do something a bit better with those drums. So, what have we got down here? Need some kicks. Where's all your kicks? Oh, are they under loop rather than... That's what we wanted. Okay. Right, that's a nice drum loop. So let's bring that in after 2 bars. Pop that in there. Loop that all the way along there. And play. Alright, sounds good to me. So, can we copy that? Can we copy that? No, that's just moving it. So we place it... Oh, you can copy it. Okay, so you basically you pick it up and put it down again, and then you carry on. You can then place another version of it, if you like. Okay. Alright. Sounding good. Let's get something in bars 7 and 8 as well. What have we got under extra? What's this? Is this like synth pads and stuff? This is quite literally random, miscellaneous. I like that. Let's pop that in somewhere. We'll have that coming alongside the bass. Why not? And then again, just loop that for now, and then a nice way of building up a track, I've found anyway, is sort of then snipping out a few bits along the way. So we start with our simple and still slightly wonky cymbal pattern, which is bugging me a little bit. Not sure I like that. Not sure I like that. Doesn't feel like it goes with the other stuff. Alright, let's see what else we got down in the extra stuff. Dusty Mouth. Love the names of these samples. Oh, those are quite fun. Alright, let's pop a few of them in there. So we'll have one of them, and then one of them. We'll use those ones a bit more sparingly. Let's bring in that one there. And then bring that one back again. I've got to replace this terrible hi-hat pattern. Because it's not good. It's not good. Drums. Give me some better hi-hats, if you please. Alright, so all the loops seem to be at the top. The bottom ones are sort of one-shots. I quite like that. Will that work as a loop? Let's find out. And let's put in one of these. That's nice and housey, isn't it? Alright, play! No, from the beginning. From the top. Alright, maybe we chop them out. From the top. I like that. Okay, that's a nice start. Only taken us 20 minutes to do that. What else shall we add? I thought of something while I was listening to that, and I completely forgot what it was. Let me listen again. I want like a hit in bar 4 or something. They sort of really emphasise that coming in. We got Zippy. That's the sort of thing I'm after. Some sort of sweeping noise to bring us in nicely. Alright, from the top. Nice. Okay. Let's have width of 77. Oops. Alright, you stay there and go there. That's better. And then you stay there and then come over here. Okay, get to grips with this interface now. Alright, what happens if we cut the drums just there? See how that sounds. This is my trouble when I'm doing creative stuff like this. Is like I spend so much time just sort of listening to what I've done and sort of thinking, yeah, that sounds good, or it's not quite right. Like that? Good. Okay. Right. What else have we got that we can play with? Obviously, we can extend to that with the samples all day if we want to, but let's have a look at some of the other features. So that's the arranger. We've got the mixer. So the mixer allows us to apply effects to various tracks. So what do we got? Pan, delay, chorus, and reverb. So presumably we can play from here. Or can we? No, apparently we can't. Alright, cancel. So can you not change on the fly? Yeah, you can. Alright. Okay, so if I wanted to pan that effect over to the right, I can click on pan here. Shift that over to the right to give us a nice bit of wide stereo. That's adding a bit of delay onto there. of reverb on there sounds quite nice. And then down at the bottom here, you can adjust the actual parameters of your delay, chorus, and reverb effects as well. So if you want to... Up at the top, basically, it's how intense the effect is applied to that track. And then down at the bottom, you can fiddle around with the actual parameters of the effect itself. Okay, so reasonably straightforward and simple, but effective. So presumably, if we go down to master... Okay, so that's EQ generally. So, for example, if I want to then play that and say boost the bass a bit, I think we need to... There we go. Don't know how well that's coming across on the video audio, but certainly that's boosted the bass quite a bit. Okay. Never really know what to do with graphic equalizers. They are something of a mystery to me. They're a thing that dads know about. There just sort of gives it a nice bit more oomph. Okay. Alright, let's see what other screens we got. So we got the groove generator. Now this, I believe, is for making your own drum beats. So our mode is matrix, jam, record, or configure. Okay. Okay, so this is assigning different sounds to different buttons. I'll leave that for now. So if I go to jam, press start to begin jamming, press start again to stop jamming. So this is literally just press the buttons and the drums happen. Okay, how do we get... I just press start, okay. So matrix then, presumably, we can go up to here. We can select the samples that we want. So kick, snare, percussion. Alright, preview. Okay, so again, you can just press the square button to preview the sound you want. Yeah, nice electronic sounding kick drum. Alright, and then presumably we can just what have I done? A very good question. What have I done? Oh, okay. So these are applying directly to the tracks, I think. Yeah, there we are. So if I get to bar 32, there's my dodgy kick drum, so let's get rid of them. Right, back to home. So those are 16th notes, I guess, those markers on there. Right, okay, so you can actually compose your drum beats directly on top of your existing track. That's what the G track is. That's for generators, I guess. So and then I guess if you say L1 loop, that just plays it over and over, so you can figure it out. Can you then copy what you've done? You can. Look at that. Excuse the noise. Let's say we got the door open because it's pretty warm. Alright, cool. Now, obviously, that doesn't fit at all with what we've got in there, but that's something you can do. That's very cool. I'm a fan of that. Alright, so along with that, we've also got the hyper generator, I believe. Apparently not in this club. I guess certain features are only available in certain clubs. What is video mode? Okay, so it just visualizes your track. Nice. Okay, cool. Right. So if I then go back to the arranger. Obviously, that's not a finished piece of music or anything like that, but we've spent half an hour on that now. So what we'll do, let's just save that. Boop. By Pete. And the nice thing about this is because it's using samples that are pulled off the disc rather than stuff that you've recorded yourself, it doesn't take up a huge amount of memory card space. I believe it's about 150k that this program needs altogether. So because your compositions are just basically sets of instructions to say which sample to play when. Let's go and have a look at one of the other clubs, just to see what different settings we've got. So if we're going to have a look at, like, say the hip hop club, that should be pretty different from what we've seen in the house club. So if we pick hip hop. Skip that. We know what a hip-hop club looks like. Right, let's hear the sample mix first.
Yeah, this is 98.2
Yeah.
on your dial, you know what I'm saying? Hip-hop eJay. If you want to hear something and you want to get in touch with the squad, you could dial 49. Clap your hands.
So you notice that this one, we don't have a G track at the top for the generator, so presumably that means from here we don't have things like the groove generator. No, we don't have the groove generator or the hyper generator this one. We do have scratch mode though. Let's have a look at this. So how does this work? Okay, might have to look up the controls for this. So left analog stick, left and right allows you to speed it up and slow it down. Scratch mode. When you select the turntables from the tool selection, you can load a sample from the sound groups onto the right turntable and play your mix on the other. Okay. Alright, so stop that. Hold up. Okay, so D-pad adjusts between the pair of them. And then, so if we go down here.
But leave a pronoun, you rather kiss you goodnight, you ain't. If I'm gonna miss you and wanna kiss you, hell no, what is true, I'ma diss you.
Okay, so that loads that onto the right turntable.
Yeah, this is 98.2 on your dial. You know what I'm saying? Hip Hop eJay. If you want to hear something, and you want to get in touch with the squad, you can dial 49.
That's pretty fun. So you can change on the fly as well. So while that keeps playing, you can pick another sample, load that in there. Okay, that's pretty fun. It doesn't look like you can record that. I don't think. You can adjust the mix between the pair of them.
Bounce with me. Bounce with me.
Yeah, so I think this is sort of intended for performing live, as it were. What other controls have we got for this? Anything? Oh, okay, you can mute the turntables as well. You can make a real mess of this. I love it. Alright, okay. Just before we wrap up then, let's have a look at just one more club. See if we can find one that's got the hyper generator in it. Hypergenerator. So those are in the Amnesia and U60311 clubs. So the hypergenerator is for creating your own synth sequences. So let's see how that works, shall we? Alright, so forget the resonant mix for the minute and go to the hypergenerator. So over on the left, we choose our samples from the look of things. Shush. Acid. Okay, so those are just weird noises. Let's try... Oops. Let's try mellow. I just want a simple sound, a simple note. That's all I need. Bass. That'll do. Right. So then we can go over to the keyboard. God, there's so many planes going over today. So then we can... Can we do chords? Can we do chords? No, you cannot. Okay, so only one note at a time. But presumably you can do something very similar to what we did with the groove generator, which is to copy that across like that. And then... And then that just adds our little hypergenerator sequence over the top of what we want. So if we, for example, go for bar 5 here and try a different sequence, and you see that's turned that into sequence 1 instead of sequence 0 there. Again, so let's see. Play from the start. Okay, so I'm sure you can see how that would be useful for making your own synth lines and so on. Obviously, we'll take a bit of experimenting around to figure out what the best sounds are for the different effects you want to achieve. But if you want to create your own little synthesizer sequences in certain types of music, that'd be very useful. It's a shame it's not available in all of the different clubs, but that's presumably just a memory thing. Because the fact that this is working on PlayStation 2 at all is quite impressive, to be honest, because it's surprisingly fully featured. Surprisingly fully featured. I was sort of expecting this to be fairly simple, but there's actually quite a lot of flexibility here. Obviously, you can't record your own stuff into it, but the fact you've got that groove generator and the hyper generator and the scratching facility and all that sort of thing, and the different styles of music. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame you can't sort of mix and match the samples between styles, but as I say, that is almost certainly a memory thing. So it's probably loading most of the samples into memory to prevent having to access the disc too much while you're playing back your music. But yeah, what you've got there is pretty flexible, and I think it's worth having an experiment with, because although it's true that there are better pieces of music software available for relatively low cost. So you can get things like Magic's Music Maker and Acid Music for not too much money. You can get this for 50p from CEX. And especially if you've never tried making electronic music before, this would be a good way to sort of start experimenting and place some deliberate limitations on yourself so that you don't get too ambitious too soon, because that's always a big thing with doing anything creative. It's so easy to start doing something and then thinking, oh well, what if I add this, and what if I add this, and what if I add this, and I'll keep adding it on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, and eventually you get so ambitious you start getting frustrated that you can't achieve what you've got in your head with the tools that you've got. And so, yeah, you want to try and deliberately limit yourself as much as possible when you're first starting out, because, yeah, if you start trying to do too much too soon, it's very easy to just sort of think, well, okay, I can't do that, I'm not going to bother. Whereas if you deliberately restrict yourself to one of the music styles in this, with the samples that are included and the tools that you've got available to you, you can make something that sounds good. You can make something that sounds good. I'm not going to pretend that we did that today with this quick tour of it, but hopefully it's given you an idea of what the program is all about, and the fact that it's still got a place. It's still got a place. It's still worthwhile exploring. Now, obviously, one major drawback of it is the fact that you can't just export it to an MP3 file or something. There are ways around that. You could video capture what you've done and then just extract the audio from that. It's a lot easier to do that today than it was back when this first came out. Back when it first came out, you would have had to connect your PlayStation's audio out or your television's audio out to something that you could record onto, be it your computer or a tape deck or something like that, and then sort it out from there. But these days, it's much easier to be able to actually capture the sound and the footage from what you're doing here, and turn it into an MP3 that you could then share online very easily. So yeah, if you're interested in digital electronic music making, I'd recommend this because it's cheap. As I say, I can't remember exactly how much I paid for this, but it couldn't have been more than like 50p or £1 or something like that. Because I mean, it's just perceived as not having any real value these days. But I am here to tell you that it's got value and you should play with it, because I'm certainly going to. Anyway, let's leave that there for today. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.